Bloomfield Township. So with me on the Splash Live is Fire Chief for the West Bloomfield Township Fire Department, Greg Flynn. Thank you for being here, Chief.
Good morning, Kevin.
So as I'm kind of skewing through this article and looking at a few things, I just want your help on clarifying some things. I see that there will be a $266,000 grant awarded to West Bloomfield Township Fire Department. How do you feel like utilizing this can enhance your team's readiness and safety?
Well, first and foremost, we want to thank our state representatives that put this package together, along with the Michigan Association of Fire Chiefs and the Michigan Professional Firefighters Union and all the stakeholder groups that were able to get this into the governor's budget for this year. You know, this budget item, this grant program is going to help the fire service across the state of Michigan. And what it's really doing, Kevin, is it's providing a second set of fire gear to all of our firefighters. And the reason why that's important is because we know the amount of carcinogens or cancer-causing agents that can get onto fire gear during the fire suppression event, or during an electric vehicle fire, or any of the different hazards that they may go into, that there's smoke or off-gassing that happens during combustion. We're able to now put that turnout gear that's contaminated into a cleaning process, a decontamination process, and then immediately move into the fresh, clean gear, that second set of gear, and be ready to respond to the next incident.
Very interesting. Another aspect as a regular resident of the community you don't necessarily think about, but I'm glad you put it out there. So this kind of, my curious brain, Chief, just asking, if you are dealing with equipment that is filthy or has been contaminated, how are we washing of those, or how are we taking care of that before this grant?
Well, we've been very fortunate with the support of the community that all our stations are equipped with what's called an extractor. It's a very specialized piece of washing equipment that is designed for fire gear. One set of gear pretty much fits in it at a time. So both the bottoms, the pants, the turnout pants, and the turnout coat kind of take apart. And if I can just show you a little bit here, Kevin, I brought a coat up here with me. So, you know, many people are used to seeing this exterior part of fire gear, but inside is where the real magic happens. And there's different layers within the coat that provide both a thermal barrier, this kind of reflective here, and then there's also a water barrier that prevents all the water from coming down on the firefighters and then going through their gear. So we're preventing the water from coming in, which can also prevent the heat from coming in, so that we don't get the steam burns and all of the things that happen while your firefighters are inside there. That exterior barrier also protects the firefighters from snagging on things that may have fallen down or sharp edges, and protects them. So that fire gear really encapsulates the firefighter as they move through the fire environment, and really sets them up in the best position to extinguish the fire and more importantly even, find our residents, save lives, and make a true impact on the community.
Good point. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that perspective. Chief, join us right here on the Splash Live, by the way, Fire Chief for West Bloomfield Township Fire Department, Greg Flynn. The kid in me is curious about this, especially since you just showed that, if you're watching on Civic Center TV. So the inside lining of it, if you're battling a blaze and you have this hot coat on and it's already the summertime, does this type of equipment help keep them cool? This is just the kid in me just curious about it. Like, how does that help when they're in the hot sun outside, but then battling a hot blaze at the same time?
Well, unfortunately, the equipment doesn't quite work as well in reverse. So that's why it's so important that our firefighters remain hydrated at the beginning of their shift, remain hydrated throughout. And then during a fire incident, Kevin, what we'll do is we cycle our firefighters out, usually timing them with the amount of air that they have in their SCBA, their self-contained breathing apparatus. So as they come out of the fire to get a fresh tank and new air, we do what's called rehab. And in that process, we take their vital signs, their blood pressure, their pulse, their respiratory rate, we log those, and then we're hydrating while we're doing a bottle switch out on that firefighter. So they'll take a brief rest. If the blaze is still going, we cycle the team through and re-equip them with fresh air, and back in they go well hydrated.
Okay. Thank you for answering that. Like I said, that should have been off the record. I should have just came up there and just talked to you personally, but I was curious about it, but thank you for explaining that. So I want to kind of get back into this situation. I believe we talked about a story where we had upgraded radio communication systems. Now we're talking about upgraded turnout gear. Can you just talk about how you see all of this actually benefiting and helping the response time for you all to get to emergencies?
Well, the gear side of things probably is less about the response time and more about the fire gear, for example, Kevin, when I started, to where the fire gear is today and the technology that's been integrated into the fire gear, the thermal barrier that's there, the amount of heat that fire gear is able to take before the firefighters start to feel that heat is just unbelievably improved. In fact, in some ways, Kevin, it can be a little bit dangerous because it can give firefighters a sense of protection that maybe is taking them into an even more dangerous area because they're not feeling the heat as much as they used to.
Wow.
So that is why we communicate. So the integration of the new upgrade with the radio system so that we can get better radio frequency penetration into structures, inside of structures, right? That gives us better intel from inside the fire environment that they can communicate out to the incident commander and advise them and give them a picture, if you will, of what's going on inside the structure so we can deploy additional hose lines, additional crews to get in there, cool the fire. And then even a more interesting step, and it sounds like I'm going to need to get you into our Fire Ops 101 program here in October. We're going to go up and they're going to ventilate the structure, which allows the heat to escape out the top of the structure and start to cool off the inside environment. So there's a lot of science behind what our firefighters do every single day, and we enhance that. I know you've had Captain Lakowski on the program. His division's in charge of making sure our team's up to date on the latest and greatest in training. And all of those things together, the comms, the gear, the training, really we wrap our arms around this community with safety and saving what's important to them, their pets, their belongings, and most importantly, their lives.
We appreciate that. And I would love that invitation. I got to make sure my schedule's good because I want to bring my son too. I think that'd be so nice. One of my close friends is a firefighter also in the local area. So thank you for that invitation and information, by the way, Chief. Don't want to hold you up too much longer, but one of the last questions, what can the community do to support the fire department and ensure firefighters have necessary resources to perform for their duties safely and effectively?
Kevin, the most important thing is that the community doesn't need us. Right? I just want to let that set for a second, that the community doesn't need us. Fire is everyone's fight, and fire prevention is the key, that we never even start the fight, if you will. So making sure that you have working smoke alarms, testing those, having an escape plan with your family that you practice. And remember, we don't go to the street. We go to a safe spot away from where the trucks will be approaching. And really understanding that we don't leave items on the stove or in the oven unattended. And just really being smart around this time of year with your grills and making sure that they're cleaned and that there's not a pileup of grease and food debris at the bottom that can catch on fire and extend along the exterior of the house. So all of those things, Kevin, that's what the community can do to support their firefighters. Put us out of business, right? Put us out of work is really what we want the message to be.
I love it. And I know what you mean by that. I know what you mean. I don't know how people may take it, but essentially you're saying be careful. We don't want to have to call the fire department for those emergencies. So please be cautious. Hey, Chief, I appreciate your time. I know you're very, very busy, and I can ask 1,000 questions, but we appreciate your time and effort. Fire Chief, West Bloomfield Township Fire Department, Greg Flynn, thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.